Justin Verlander is back, but will he find success? We're going to talk about it. Stay tuned. CrustyK is here from the Go Boys Network, coming to you with a slate preview for April 19th. I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Sleeper Picks, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's jump right into the slate. The first game is a makeup game that was rained out from the night before. It is the Marlins taking on the Cubs. AJ Puck versus Jameson Taillon. I spoke about this in our last video. If you watched it, Puck struggles with command big time. Ton of walks, ton of contact, low K rate. He was a reliever, now converted to a starter, and it's just not working well for him. And this one for me, I think you go with the Cubs team total. I expect them to score a lot of runs. I think any sort of Puck fade is more than in play here. The next game, we're going to the Angels versus Cincinnati. It's Tyler Anderson versus Nick Lodolo. Lodolo looked outstanding in his first start back against the White Sox. He was absolutely lights out, perfect through almost 6 full innings. It's another good spot from here. This Angels team struggling to make contact, struggling just offensively in general to put bat on ball. And Lodolo generates some of the goofiest looking swings and misses you've ever seen. So for me here, I think you back Lodolo, whether it's from a strikeout angle or from just an angle of back in the Reds. But I love this spot for him, and I love the spot for the Reds at home. Moving on to our next one, though, we have the White Sox taking on the Phillies. This is Garrett Crochet versus Spencer Turnbull. Garrett Crochet has looked really good. Biggest concern with him is the innings. He hasn't pitched a ton, and the White Sox are really concerned with him pitching too many innings. So the issue here is anytime he gets into like a stressful situation or, maybe gets hit around a little bit, they're pretty quick to pull him out. So he's kind of like a 5-inning cap kind of guy unless he's really, really efficient. I do like his matchup in terms of strikeouts, but it's tough to get there depending on what the number is because you really don't know how long he's going to pitch. In terms of Turnbull, it's a good spot for him to pitch deep into this one. This White Sox team, not a lot of extended at-bats, pretty quick to put the ball in play. Should be able to keep his pitch count pretty low and pitch deep into this one. But my best look, I think you got to back the Phillies in some capacity because once Crochet's out of this game, the White Sox bullpen is absolutely terrible. Moving on to our next one, we have the Red Sox taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is Brian Bayo versus Quinn Priester. Bayo, obviously we all know him. He's sort of like the de facto ace for the Red Sox. Should have a pretty good time here. Should be able to keep the ball in the ballpark. Should be able to keep the ball on the ground. Pittsburgh not swinging it well as of late. They do get to go back home though, so maybe that'll fix things for him. But for me here, I think you back the Red Sox. I think you back Bayo to get his team a win. Priester pitched a little bit last season up in the majors. Wasn't very good. I'm not expecting him to be very good tomorrow. So for me here, like I said, Boston Red Sox, and go about your day. Our next game is the Houston Astros taking on the Washington Nationals. This is the much-awaited Justin Verlander game that we were talking about, taking on Mackenzie Gore. Justin Verlander in his 2 rehab starts has looked pretty bad. Opponents hitting .378 against him. He allowed 14 runs in 7 innings. Strikeout stuff wasn't really there. Velo down a tick, and I'm expecting him to struggle in this spot. Nationals, they make a lot of contact, 3rd highest in chase contact, top 10 in zone contact. It's just a tough spot for him. Tough spot to come back to. On the other side, Mackenzie Gore, lefty. Astros hit lefties very well. Don't strike out a lot against lefties. I think you look to fade both pitchers on the strikeouts here. It's a tough spot for both pitchers. Both teams very good at bat to ball. So yeah, under on pitchers' Ks, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some runs in this one. Our next one is the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the New York Yankees. This is Tyler Alexander versus Clark Schmidt. Tyler Alexander, this will be the first time he's going to see like bulk innings, not in a opener situation. It'll be interesting to see what he does here. Tough spot against the Yankees, but the Yankees have been incredibly inconsistent, and I just have a hard time trusting them. Clark Schmidt on the other side, again, not a guy I love to trust. This Tampa Bay Rays team, super aggressive, and on the road particularly, they've really struggled to make contact. So I think you got a decent angle at a Clark Schmidt strikeout line here, depending on what it is. Maybe back some Yankee bats to get to Alexander. Alexander has not been good this season. This could be a good spot for Judge and the boys to get it going. Our next one is the Oakland Athletics taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Joe Boyle versus Tristan McKenzie. Tristan McKenzie is pitching with a torn muscle in his elbow, torn tendon in his elbow. He's opted to not get surgery, and they're going to try to manage it and allow him to pitch. But for me here, I don't see how you can back him knowing that information. So I would look to fade him, even though it's Oakland. But his stuff has not looked good this season. Spin rates are down. He's not missing bats. He's not generating whiffs. And so here, even against a team like Oakland, they're not very good, but I'm not sure McKenzie has the stuff in his current form to be able to generate enough strikeouts to cover whatever his line may be. On the other side, Joe Boyle has looked pretty good. All things considered, he pitches for Oakland. Not always going to have the run support, so you can't really expect him to win games, but in terms of his stuff, he's looked pretty good. This Guardians team, they're a pesky team, but Boyle will probably be one of the best pitchers they've seen probably in the last week or so. For me here, I think you look to fade McKenzie. I wouldn't be surprised if Oakland finds a way to maybe take this one in the first 5, because I think McKenzie gives up some runs. Our next one is the Braves taking on the Texas Rangers. This is Chris Sale versus Andrew Heaney. It's a really tough spot for Texas. Coming off a 4-game series against the Tigers, played a brutal one last night, going back and forth. Had to use a lot of arms, had to use a lot of energy, had to use their main lineup. Leiter didn't go very deep into the game, so I'll be interested to see how they look in this spot. Braves coming off a day off too, so right away I think you want to back the Braves. Obviously Chris Sale. I mean, why wouldn't you want to back Chris Sale? This Texas team has definitely been a little more K-prone on the road. So I think depending on what the line is, you can let Chris Sale over strikeouts, especially catching a Rangers team that's probably a little bit tired. Could see a couple of their main guys take maybe a day off, truthfully. In terms of Heaney, heavy reliance on the fastball, which I just don't see playing well against the Braves. So I think a Braves team total, even a Heaney under Ks or under outs, I think are both great looks. The outs are a little sketchy because, like I said, they use a lot of bullpen arms. But under Ks and the over team total for the Braves, I think are a great look in that one.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the Gold Boys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the Gold Boys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
Our next one is the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Kansas City Royals. This is Dean Kramer versus Alec Marsh. Neither starter has looked particularly good this season. For me here, I think the simplest thing is just go with the over. Go with some runs. Marsh has been better to lefties, so it is a little bit encouraging facing an Orioles team that is left-handed dominated, but I'm worried about the contact with some of these guys. I mean, you see guys like Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman, they can hit anybody. So for me here, I think you back both teams to put up some runs. You back this one to be back and forth, and it's going to be to the bullpens pretty quick in my opinion. Our next one is the Minnesota Twins taking on the Detroit Tigers. This is Joe Ryan versus Jack Flaherty. We just saw this matchup, I believe about a week ago. Same pitchers, same head-to-head. Both pitchers had a ton of success in terms of strikeouts. So I'm not the biggest fan of the close proximity backing strikeouts once again, but these two teams are so K-prone, Tigers in particular on the road, and Twins just overall. So I don't see how you don't go to either of the pitcher strikeouts, take them on the over. I wouldn't even be opposed to this being one of those like dual ladder situations where you could see both guys run it up. I think if I had to pick a side, I'm going with the Twins at home. I'm going with Joe Ryan. He does struggle with the long ball a little bit, but overall, I think he's just a better pitcher. Flaherty struggles with command from time to time. Definitely give up some hits too. So for me here, I think you take both pitchers' Ks and you back the Twins. Our next one is the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. This is Freddie Peralta versus Kyle Gibson. Freddie's looked outstanding. Even in his last start when people thought that he might struggle, he absolutely mowed down the Orioles. So for me here, I'm taking Milwaukee. I'm taking Freddie Peralta to absolutely handle business against a Cardinals team that just cannot seem to figure it out. Kyle Gibson, certified turkey tosser, he's going to give it up. So against this Brewers team, I'm expecting him to struggle. I'm expecting Freddie to deal how he has been. This Cardinals team striking out a ton, not making a lot of contact. Even their big boys in the middle, Goldschmidt, Wilson Contreras, really struggling as of late. So for me here, you back the Brewers, you back Freddie, and you go about your day. Really quick before we get back into the games here, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Sleeper Picks. Use code GOBOYS for a first-time deposit match of up to $500. Let's jump back into it, though. As we jump into the later slate, we have Seattle taking on the Rockies at Coors. If this one goes, there's a pretty high chance of rain here, so we'll see what happens. But it's Emerson Hancock versus Dakota Hudson. Emerson looked pretty good against the Cubs in his last start. I was a little surprised, truthfully. So against this Rockies team, they are back at home. They do perform night and day between home and away. So I would be a little scared that they can get it going, but I think I'm going to go with Seattle. Dakota Hudson, just not a good pitcher, gives up a lot of contact, a lot of balls in play, And this Seattle team is just loaded with pop. So, look for Julio Rodriguez, Haniger, Ty France. They can all get it going on this spot, especially at Coors if they play. In terms of strikeouts, I think Emerson Hancock, I think you can look at the over. It's going to be his first time pitching at Coors, so obviously you worry about that a little bit. But this Rockies team has just not shown that same ability to put bat on ball that they showed last year when they were on their own field. Our next one is the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the San Diego Padres. This is Yariel Rodriguez versus Matt Waldron. Yariel made his MLB debut his last start. Looked really good. K stuff looked great. Granted, it was against the Rockies, so take that with a grain of salt. I think he struggles here. This Padres team, one of the best bat-to-ball teams in all of baseball to start this season. Top 5 in all swing metrics that I look at. And I think that they're going to put it on him here. I really do. They're swinging it well. They're at home. I just think this is a big ask for Yariel in his second start in his professional career to go into San Diego and deal with this lineup. So give me the Padres. Give me Matt Waldron to pitch deep into this one. As we already know, Toronto, they do not see a lot of pitches, a ton of early contact. So his pitch count should stay pretty low. Should be able to pitch deep into this one. And when they turn it over to their bullpen, it's pretty much lights out. So give me the Padres. Our next one is the New York Mets taking on the Dodgers. This is Sean Manaea versus Yamamoto. Yamamoto has looked really good since that first clunker he had when they pitched over in the Seoul series. I'm expecting to pitch well here. This Mets team doesn't scare me. A lot of big names in the lineup, but they're really not swinging it that well. So I think you go with the Dodgers. At home, coming off a series loss to the Nationals. Just a spot you want to back them. Sean Manaea has looked pretty good all season. I say all season, but it's been about 3-4 starts. I think this is a tough spot for him. This will be the toughest lineup he's seen so far. And as we've seen with this Dodgers lineup, particularly the top half, they're going to make you work. They're going to run your pitch count up, and then they're going to make it hurt if you make a mistake. So give me the Dodgers. Give me Yamamoto. They pick up a win. Our final game of the night, and probably my favorite matchup, it's the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the San Francisco Giants. This is Jordan Montgomery versus Blake Snell. So these are two of the Scott Boras guys who didn't have a team when the season started. Montgomery should be good for about 5 innings. I'd say around 80 pitches, just based off of the starts he's made in the minors getting ready for this. And as we've seen with Snell, he's not quite 100% yet, but he's going to be getting closer to 90 pitches, I'd say, this start. He's really struggled, though, giving up a ton of runs, ton of contact, and just, the walk stuff's always been there, but it almost seems a little worse through the first couple starts. I think you back Montgomery and the Diamondbacks. It'll be his first start of this season, but Montgomery's always kind of been that, that anchor for these rotations that he's been in. And against this Giants team, they really don't scare me, and I think that he can induce a lot of soft contact, pitch deep into this one, and have a pretty successful start. On the other side, Blake Snell, like I said, the lack of command really concerns me against this Arizona team. Ton of patience. They're going to make him, work and make him put it in the zone, and he doesn't always do that. So base runners, a lot of traffic on the bases, and that tends to lead to runs. So give me Arizona, give me Montgomery. They pick up the win. That does conclude the slate preview for today. If you guys could do me a favor, if you liked what you heard, drop a like, drop a comment. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, what we can do better. Truly appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.